with black paint. I'm going to do a disclaimer that technically one should start with lighter shades first and then work darker. So what I should have done on this, mea culpa, I did not, was to start with a light gray. And when that dried, hit it with a darker gray. And when that dried, hit it with black. I started with black. My apologies. And I need to start a video. Come on. Come on. Don't tell me it's not going to work. There we go. Oh, no. No, don't tell me. Oh, Pete, I am so sorry. This thing doesn't want to run the video the way it's supposed to. It ran it perfectly when I tried this the other day.
Patience.
It started to.
I know, and it ran right through it all immediately. Come on. Go back.
Go to the right arrow. Yeah, there.
That's not the one that's going to work. That's going to take you to the next slide. That should start it. And it goes all the way across and doesn't show the video. Oh. Excuse my frustration, little. Let me walk you through this. What I did was I did the dry brushing technique with this. And take a large brush. You can see it down in here. A large brush and fully load it up with the paint. Light gray, dark gray, and then black. And then wipe much of it off on a paper towel until it's almost dry. That's the whole point of dry brushing. And then scrape the paint on the surface you're doing lightly at first and then ever darker to build up the layers of dirt and grime and ash that you're trying to do. And when I got to...
I have seen people have this problem before. And I think what you need to do is put the cursor in the bar where and put a cursor there. Now click the arrow.
Nope, didn't work.
Work sometimes. Okay, continue. Sorry.
Okay, suppose I do it this way. That's not helping either. I should have sat down and picked up a paintbrush by now.
It's saying 0, 0 all the time.
Saying 0, 0 all the time. I had a lot of trouble trying to embed a video in this thing. And the last time I did it, it worked fine. This one is just giving me all kinds of grief. Anyway, what I did on the sides of the thing was, you can barely see it over here. This is the one I just finished. I assumed that somewhere along the line, some of the white had run. So I used white and just lightly stroked down to look like white paint had run down a little bit. And on the ends, I touched it up again with some black. And then I used some rust and my rust pen and put highlights of rust. And since this is supposed to be a metal boxcar, you see where these lines are right here? All right. They look like lines of screws if it's wood or rivets if it's metal. I took the flow quill pen and just dabbed a little bit of rust color on that, and then used my fingertip to kind of smooth it down a little bit so it looked like the heads of the bolts or rivets were getting rusty and it had run down somewhat. And this is the way it turned out. It looks a little dark, but I assumed it's been grimy. I also took some dark brown paint and dry brushed right along in here along with the black, because I figured if it's sitting in the yard, it's sitting on this is why I wanted to use my laptop. It's sitting on rails that have been ballasted perhaps. There's probably some dirt around it. And so I'm looking at the fact that some dirt and some ballast and some grime have splashed up in the rain. All right. Then I decided to try weathering powders as a different one. These are the Bragdon powders. One of the things about these is that we have ash, we have grimy gray, and over here we have 2 shades of rust and a soot. And these are perfect for doing boxcars. All right. Also, you can use pan pastels, and I don't remember the names of these, but you got a black, a white, umpteen grays, and 2 or 3 rust that can be used again for weathering boxcars. Let's see if this video will work. Shh, don't scare it.
There we go.
Don't scare it. So I started with the ash and the Bragdon powders and just brush them on. And of course, I always put wax paper underneath so I can pick up the stray bits of powders and use those as well. I use a fairly soft brush for this. You don't need a hard one. And I didn't have the camera set up properly. But it's just using the same kind of technique, but this time with powders. When I first was taught how to do boxcars, I was taught how to do it with paint. And now having done this whole thing with both paint and powders, I think I like the powders better. I think you have more control over the color and blend it better. That's just my personal preference. In the first video, you could see me standing up to check to make sure I had a good line of sight. This time I did not. I think this time I'm choosing a darker gray. Yep. I'm not sure if my husband realized I took 2 of his boxcars off the layout, but they're well weathered at this point. He shouldn't mind. And this is the soot. You see how dark it is. I think here you can see the layers of colors better than you can with the paint. Okay, right over here, you can see where I managed to put some white to show the paint might have run or something. Don't forget the Boxcars got ends. Oh, you can hear me putting it on, but you can't see it. I think you can see why I wear gloves. I wind up wearing the paints and the powders all over my hands. Oh. This time I used pan pastels to do the rust, and then use my fingers to rub it down. I used a small brush for this one because I wanted it in a small area. And when you look at it in real life, you can see just a hint of rust. I think with the powders, being able to blend it with your fingertips helps sometimes to blur the edges. What I'm doing now is I'm taking the nice shiny wheels and putting some rust around in this area, right in here. Here we go.
Is that the paint marker?
That's the marker, the flow foam marker. Yep. And of all of them, I use the rust more than anything else.
When you showed that, I saw the color, but I didn't see the trade name, the product name.
It's the flow quill marker. I don't know if they make them anymore or not. I've had these forever, but they had made them in two different sets. one more in browns and one in the grimy colors and rail brown and so on. And this is just some leftover chalks just to take the shine off of the trucks on the rail car. Looks terrible to have a nice weathered boxcar and have the wheels be nice and shiny. Somehow it defeats the purpose. The thing with powders is when you get all done, you need to give it a spray. So I took mine outside and gave it a light coating of dull coat. And this is what it looked like after I finished. And these are the two boxcars. This is the one that was done with paint, and this is the one with chalks. And I basically used similar techniques on each. And could they be a little more weathered? They could be. Could I have gone a little lighter? Yep. I think weathering is a personal preference. How bad you want them to look, or good, whatever you want to call, however you want to describe it. And whatever your personal preference is in terms of paints or chalks. But those are two things you can do with the rail cars. And I keep going backwards in my. So now Brian now has two weathered rail cars for his layout. Obviously, we model New Haven. Could you tell? And that's it. Gentlemen, I'm sorry it was so short.
All right, thank you, Sue.
For some reason, this picture didn't want to show up, but that's what it is. As I explained to Pete earlier this week, I had a lot of trouble creating the PowerPoint. I had trouble embedding the videos into the PowerPoint. And then I had the devil's own time trying to save it. And every time I saved it, I lost part of it. Obviously, I lost a couple of video clips here this evening, for which I humbly apologize. But you know, if you want more of this, I'd be glad to come up and show you in real life.
Well, we all know things happen sometimes.
I know, and I feel badly over it because what Pete asked me quite a while back to do this, and I said, sure, no problem. Har.
Anybody have any questions for Sue?
Please ask questions, but you need to fill in some time here.
Well, this is to my way of thinking, this is an interesting thing to watch because it's not what I would do at all.
Okay.
And I'm open-minded about it. I've built a car in recent years, I have to say. But I am going to get back to that. And seeing this other way of doing things is quite interesting.
Oh, good.
My previous weathering has been guided by weathering that's caused by water, rust, and dirt running down the side of the car and so on. I would do with water, acrylics, and then dirt that was caused by dirt in the air, ash and soot and so on, I would do with an airbrush. I would never do just one. Yeah. Because there's two different things, two different ways that things get weathered. And I felt it was useful to do them two different ways. So. If I were more adept with an airbrush, I might try some weathering with that, but I am not at all adept with an airbrush. So I stick with what I know at this point, but that's good to know. Thank you for your comments. I appreciate it.
Sue, you want to stop screen sharing?
Sure.
If you're done with the program.
Sorry about that. Okay, we're good.
There we go.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else with questions or comments?
Yeah. Hi, Sue. John Schaub. I'm from the Hudson Berkshire divisions.
Hi.
And my spin on it is that Chalks are great. What I found that works really well, so as a starter, like a tooth, is to spray the model with Krylon matte fixative before you do it.
Okay, yep,
So when you drag chalks down off the car, and I use anything from camel hair brush to like it's like a makeup wedge
oh,
and
yeah, yep,
down the car.
yeah,
I also back cut it with an X-Acto knife, so I kind of let the car get covered in certain areas,
yeah,
light to dark. So there's like layers, and then when I
yeah,
find perfect layer, I seal the car again, and I do the next layer, and I find
okay,
density using chalks. Chalks are really good because I do a lot of modern, they're like 60-foot, 55-foot covered hoppers, ACF covered
yep,
hoppers, or the grain cars, and I find that I used to use an airbrush, but I just find it's a big production, and I think it's a lot of pollutants working with an airbrush, a lot of the right kind of spray booth. So I've switched over to chalks, wash, and I'm also doing a dip tank, which is a whole different thing, which I hope to one day do as like a thing on Zoom or at a train show. Because what's great about that is if you do chalk and you like it, you of course what you did at the end, you matte sprayed it, but with the what I found that like if I'm doing the inside underneath where the brake reservoirs, the brake wheels are like uncovered hoppers, it's really hard to get in there with a brush.
yeah,
With the chalks, I've turned the car on end and then I just kind of like let it get in there and go with a real big brush to squish it around,
oh, I see, okay.
clear coat it, and keep building the layers.
Layers that way, so you're building layers, yep,
Layers. But what I do is I work in all multimedia. I will use chalk, I will use gouache, which is paint pigment, and you can take like a little tip, like the tip of like a chocolate chip cookie, like a chocolate chip, into water. It becomes an incredible medium to brush the car. And the trick about gouache, leave it alone because the surprise comes as it dries down and it finds
yeah,
what to do. But
yep. Water seeks its own level, so anything wet is gonna dribble, yep,
I will do sometimes I will do gouache first, then the chalk because the gouache is also a tooth. It really
yep.
works. Um, unfortunately, let's see. Um, I'll be right back. I'm right up in my workshop. Let's see if I got a car. This car is not finished, but this is a PS2 CG. See if I can get that on camera.
Oh, yeah, I see,
That's a mix
yep,
of punch and chalk.
oh,
And then
yeah,
um, if I can't get dull coat, Krylon makes a matte finish for photo work.
uh-huh,
It's less lethal than dull coat because dull coat has all that lacquer and everything.
yeah,
Feel the car,
oh, nice,
all the layers and everything. Then what I did on the bottom is I rusted it out too.
oh, excellent, yep,
But the real
Well
trick,
done.
weathering the
very
under.
nice, thank you for sharing.
The thing I'm working on is now trying to age out the trucks. And there's a product that Rust-Oleum came out with called Camo, and they have this brown, which is almost like rust. And I found if you're going to do like an underframe in a car, you dust it. Don't get heavy, just dust it, and it dulls the whole car out.
Oh,
Uh,
nice, okay,
this one here actually is my last one to show you. This was mainly dogs. It's a North Stratford Railroad car. It's basically your garden variety Athearn car.
yep, yeah,
That one was done by using green chalk to age the car like faded green paint.
okay, all right, yep, yep,
By using
very
this,
good, yeah, very nice,
so anyway, that's my spin on it. But it's a lot of fun to just work what works for you and keep
yeah,
fun.
yep. Thank you for sharing. I took notes and learned something from you as well. Thank you.
I've got
Sure.
a couple things I can hold up to the camera, I suppose. Both of these done with the description I gave you, and I don't know, I always have trouble trying to get this stuff to show up.
Oh, yeah, I see. Yep, I see it. Thank you. Yep. Yeah.
And the other one is a Monon.
Oh, whoops. Getting lost in your backdrop. There it is. Ice skate. Yep. Good. Thank you.
Which it's not showing very well.
There we go. Now it is. Now it is. There we go. Yeah.
It's got the lines of the brush running down from the door track and so on. And this was all done, that was all done with acrylics.
Yep.
And then a shot from overhead with black to the smoke and such.
Yep.
This is a long time ago. I don't think I was using any sort of powders at the time I did that.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate it.
Happy to.
So have you ever had any problems with your weathering washing? I don't know whether washing out is the right word, disappearing when you've overcoated it with a matte finish?
Sometimes. If I get too carried away, sometimes it does. I have to go back and look at some of them to see what's happened. I haven't really sat down and weathered too many things. Brian's got me building structures more and doing scenery more than boxcars and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Keeps me from doing my own work, though.
Long time ago, I had a covered hopper from Sandersville that was the lettering on the side. And it was, those cars carried, the kind of clay that's used for glossy paper and books.
Yeah. Okay.
Kaolin. And the result is that the cars, it's a white car to begin with. The result is that the cars almost lose all their lettering because when it's loaded, it's messy and it washes down the side of the car.
Yeah.
So well, that's way late for my time period, which I finally established. And I am lucky enough to be invited to operating sessions in Florida when I get down there for Cocoa Beach. And one of those sessions is a guy who's modeling the appropriate territory. And I took it down, gave it to him. I says, I'm not sure I can accept this. Best car on the layout. But it was pretty well complimented by that. But it was all white paint and just done with acrylics and brushed down and made thin as I could do it. So turned out well, obviously.
Good.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah, one thing I started looking at experimenting with, because now that Floco is gone and Scale Coat and all those other ones, is I started looking at General Hobby Shop where they had a lot of armor modelers and military modelers.
Yeah.
There's some line called like AK Interactive and that, where they have a lot of like crusty rush. It's like some of it's like paint with powder in it and stuff and chalk mixed together. And like I use sometimes the crusty rust on the trucks on the inside while it looks like, caked on rust. And they have a lot of like different things I've been experimenting with because I'm local and that for weather. They have washes and panel line stuff, but mainly I've just been experimenting with some of those. See what I do. I haven't really done a whole car with it yet. Elected to until I get a little more experimentation there.
Yeah. Practice. Exactly. Thank you.
Ron Norette here. There was an article in Model Railroader several years ago on how to make a rust solution using vinegar, and you put a water steel wool in a bottle of vinegar and you just let it set, and it heats up, right? It heats up and turns into a beautiful rusty color. And I've done that. I have a card here. I don't know if you can see it. You got to blow the picture up. Huh? Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
Yes,
Yeah.
very well.
Yep.
I-
Looks
I
nice.
I don't get the big picture. I just get the small one. But
Yep,
anyway,
I can see it very nicely. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you.
yeah, I did it
That's
in
my
layers.
request.
I did it in layers, and actually, I took a picture of one of these covered hoppers and tried to duplicate the rust spots. You know,
Yeah,
there are really some deep, dark rust spots.
yeah.
Uh, and I'm not done. I didn't do the wheels yet. But
Yeah, okay. Now this is regular vinegar, regular cider vinegar or
White,
white vinegar? White vinegar,
White
okay.
vinegar. Yeah, yeah. Let it sit for, I don't know, a couple of months, I think. Or and look at the liquid, and it comes in. You got to shake it up to get the color. You know,
Yep.
stuff
Yeah, okay.
solid settle out. But geez, I'll tell you,
It works. Yeah, looks good. Thank you. Yep, I'll have to try that. Thank you so much.
yeah.
Good
Okay,
idea.
you're
I
welcome.
missed that one. I missed that article.
It's a number of years ago.
Yeah,
It was by a chemical engineering teacher.
yeah.
I think if you go into the right, you can look it up.
I can look it up in the archives. Exactly. Yep. But that came out good. I like that. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody else have anything for Sue? Or anything in general for that matter? All right then,
Oh,
looks like,
Peter, I have to say
yeah,
that I enjoyed this, even though my videos didn't work all the time. But we've shared some ideas, and that was helpful. I
Yep.
took notes. Thank you.
one of the things that I kind of like doing is having people from outside the division come in.
Yep.
So that we get
Good way.
exposed to a wider variety of ideas. So,
Yep.
thank you for coming. We
You're
appreciate it.
welcome.
And if we can repeat the favor for you sometime, let me know. You know, I'm sure we can
I
come
will
up with
definitely
something
keep
to-
you in mind. Thank you.
Yep, do something for you down there.
Appreciate your time.
Yep.
Oh, my pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night, gentlemen.
All right, then. Good night, Sue, and thank you all for coming. And we'll look forward to seeing you in Chelmsford on November 16th for
And we'll
clinic
see you
on
in
LCC.
Marlboro as well. Brian and I will be there. We'll be up to see what's going on.
Yep. Well,
Good night, all.
good night,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.